Hi, boys and girls. When we left off yesterday or the day before, I can't keep track, the kids weren't real excited about being part of the Beaver Scouts because Miss Blake was not a nice scout leader, or that's what they thought. Let's see what happens in chapter 5, called Not Fair. The next meeting of the Beaver Scouts was in the gym at the school. Miss Blake was waiting for us. "I hope you all memorized the Beaver Scout Handbook," she barked. "I did," shouted Andrea, who always does anything grown-ups tell her to do. "Can I get a drink of water?" asked Neil. "No," barked Miss Blake. "Water is for wimps. What if you're out in the desert and there's no water? Today, we're gonna learn survival skills." "I thought Beaver Scouting was gonna be fun," I grumbled under my breath. "It's not about fun, Buster," barked Miss Blake. "Beaver Scouting is about survival. It's dog eat dog out there." I didn't know that dogs eat other dogs. What did dog food have to do with anything? "Let's warm up with some jumping jacks," barked Miss Blake. Ugh, I hate jumping jacks. Who came up with that idea? It was probably some guy named Jack who had too much time on his hands. "Jumping jacks are fun," shouted Andrea. 1, 2, 3, 4. We did about 1,100 jumping jacks. I thought I was gonna die. By the end, Andrea was the only one still jumping, so Miss Blake gave her a decal. Not fair." "On to the obstacle course," barked Miss Blake. She had set up a long line of upside-down desks, buckets, brooms, barrels, and all kinds of junk. We had to crawl under, around, and over the stuff to get to the other side of the gym. "This is going to prepare you for the real world," barked Miss Blake. "Go, go, go!" One by one, we ran the obstacle course. I thought I was gonna throw up. "I don't see how this prepares us for the real world," I grumbled. "Enemy planes are dropping bombs on you," barked Miss Blake. "Get down low!" She used a stopwatch to see how long it took each of us to get through the obstacle course. Naturally, Andrea had the fastest time, so Miss Blake gave her a ribbon. Not fair. "Next, it's time to jump over chairs," barked Miss Blake. "Jumping over chairs is fun," shouted Andrea. "Why would we ever have to jump over chairs in the real world?" complained Ryan. "What if you're in a jungle and you get attacked by alligators?" asked Miss Blake. "You'll need to jump over them to escape." "I would just punch in their faces," I said. "That's inappropriate, Arlo," said Andrea. "I don't approve of violence." "What do you have against violins?" I asked. "Not violins, violence." I was just yanking Andrea's chain, but Little Miss Perfect could jump over more chairs than anybody else, of course. So Miss Blake gave her a badge. Not fair. "Let's move on to the climbing wall," barked Miss Blake. One wall of the gym had little knobs all over it, so we could grab on with our hands and push up with our feet. It was still really hard to climb. "Climbing a wall is fun," shouted Andrea. Needless to say, she was able to climb the wall faster than anybody else. Miss Blake gave Andrea a belt loop. Not fair. "Next, it's time to climb the rope," barked Miss Blake. There was a thick rope hanging from the ceiling of the gym. "Climbing rope is fun!" shouted you-know-who, who immediately started climbing as if she had been doing it her whole life. "Why do we have to climb a rope?" asked Michael. "When are we ever going to have to do that? What if you're in the forest and a bear attacks you?" said Miss Blake. "You see a vine nearby, you climb it, you save your life. That's why we climb the rope." Miss Blake must have something about bears. "Why can't we just punch the bear's face in?" I suggested. "I don't have to tell you which one of us was the best at climbing the rope." Miss Blake gave Andrea a certificate. Not fair. In the far corner of the gym was a big barbell. It looked like it weighed 1,100,000 pounds. "Okay, let's see who can pick up this weight," said Miss Blake. "Why?" asked Alexia. "I'm not going to be a weightlifter when I grow up." "What if you're in the wilderness and a boulder falls on your head?" asked Miss Blake. "What are you going to do?" "Punch the boulder's face in?" I suggested. I tried to pick up the barbell, but it was way too heavy. Ryan tried to pick up the barbell. He couldn't. Michael tried to pick up the barbell. He couldn't. We all tried to pick up the barbell. Even Andrea couldn't pick it up. "It's impossible," said Emily. "Of course it's impossible," barked Miss Blake. "You've got to work together. Teamwork makes the dream work." We all grabbed the barbell at the same time. We picked it up. "Good work," barked Miss Blake. "Now it's time for your final survival challenge. This is where we separate the men from the boys." Huh? There weren't any men around. I didn't know what she was talking about. Miss Blake led us over to a long table with chairs around it. She pulled out a bag of marshmallows. "I call this the Marshmallow Challenge," she said. All right, at last there was a challenge I could win. Nobody could eat more marshmallows than me. I love marshmallows. Miss Blake told us to sit at the table. Then she put a marshmallow in front of each of us. "Here's the challenge," she said. "I'll give you that marshmallow right now if you want. Or if you wait 15 minutes, you can eat 2 marshmallows." Huh? We all said, which is also huh backward. "So, if we eat our marshmallow now, we won't get another one?" asked Alexia. "That's right," said Miss Blake. "But if you wait 15 minutes, you'll get a second marshmallow. Starting now." She clicked her stopwatch. I looked at my marshmallow. "I'm going to wait," said Andrea. "I'd rather have 2 marshmallows in 15 minutes than 1 marshmallow right now." "Me too," said Emily, who always does everything Andrea does. Waiting for stuff is hard. When I want something, I want it now. And I could eat marshmallows for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The marshmallow looked so good, I could almost taste the creamy sweetness. It was just sitting there on the table in front of me, waiting to be eaten. I reached my hand out toward the marshmallow. Maybe I could take just a little bite of it to tide me over for 15 minutes. "No taking little bites of your marshmallow," barked Miss Blake. Just wait, AJ, said Ryan. Then you get twice as many marshmallows. 15 minutes isn't so long. 15 minutes is a long time. It's almost an hour. I gave up. I picked up my marshmallow and popped it right into my mouth. Yum. Ha! I knew you'd give in, Arlo, said Andrea. Anything you can do, I can do better. I can do anything better than you. No, you can't, I replied. Yes, I can, she said. No, you can't. Yes, I can. We went back and forth like that for a while. By the end of the meeting, Andrea had earned a decal, a ribbon, a badge, a belt loop, a certificate, a medallion, and an extra marshmallow. Bummer in the summer. But I got to eat my marshmallow first. So na boo boo on Andrea. We're going to do another one, kiddos. Chapter 6. This one's called Mr. Dummy. Beaver scouting was no fun. While we were waiting for Miss Blake to show up for our next meeting, we were all grumbling. I thought we were going to get to decorate pumpkins and make popstick snowman ornaments, said Alexia. I thought we were going to build race cars out of wood, said Michael. I thought we were going to get to go spelunking, said Ryan. I'm thinking of quitting Beaver Scouts, I told the gang. Me too, everybody agreed. We all stopped talking when Miss Blake arrived. I heard what you kids said about quitting, she barked. Do you know what they call people who quit? No, what? We all asked. Quitters, barked Miss Blake. Well, that made sense. So, you're not having fun, eh? Miss Blake barked. You want fun? Next week, we're gonna go on an overnight in the woods. It'll be more fun than you ever had in your life. Yay! We all shouted. But you never know what might happen in the woods, barked Miss Blake. You've got to be ready for anything. I hope you studied that part in your first aid in the Beaver Scout Handbook. I did, shouted the human homework machine. I also did a life-saving class after school. When I get older, I'm going to get a job as a lifeguard. Andrea takes classes in everything after school. If they gave a class in brushing your teeth, she would take that class so she could get better. Good job, Andrea, barked Miss Blake. Life throws stuff at you when you least expect it. You've got to be prepared at all times. Let's say you're in the wilderness. Somebody faints and stops breathing. What do? It's an emergency. You should break some glass, I said right away. Why would you do that? Asked Miss Blake. My family was in a hotel once, I replied. There was a sign that said you should break glass in case of emergency. Miss Blake slapped her forehead. If somebody can't breathe, you should call 911, said Neil. You're in the wilderness, shouted Miss Blake. There's no time to call 911, and you probably don't have cell service anyway. The correct answer is that you should give that person mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. Oh no, not that. I've seen mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. It looks a lot like kissing. Miss Blake went to the closet and dragged out an old big mannequin. It was the size of a grown-up man. This is Mr. Dummy, she barked. He's not breathing. We've got to do something, shouted Emily, as if Mr. Dummy was a real person. I'll show you what to do, barked Miss Blake. She got down on her hands and knees, tilted Mr. Dummy's head back, pinched his nostrils shut, and started blowing air into his mouth. Gross. I don't know about you, but I say kissing a dummy is weird. Kissing anything is weird, but kissing a dummy is especially weird. That looks hard, said Alexia. I don't know if I could do that in an emergency. Hey, if you can't take the heat in the kitchen, get out, barked Miss Blake. Huh? We weren't in a kitchen. What did kitchens have to do with anything? If Mr. Dummy was in a kitchen instead of locked up in a closet, he probably wouldn't have fainted in the first place. I saved Mr. Dummy's life, barked Miss Blake. He's breathing again. Yay! Everybody shouted, even though we all knew Mr. Dummy was never breathing in the first place. What do you do if someone breaks an arm? Barked Miss Blake. Kiss the boo-boo and put a Band-Aid on it? Emily guessed. No! Barked Miss Blake. What do you do if a tree falls on someone's head and knocks them unconscious? Punch the tree's face in, I suggested. No! What do you do if someone's bleeding out of their eyeballs? What do you do if somebody accidentally swallows a stapler? What do you do if somebody's leg falls off? None of those things are going to happen, said Ryan. How do you know? Barked Miss Blake. Stranger things have happened. Did I tell you about the time I was attacked by a bear? Yes, we all replied. You punched its face in. That's right. Miss Blake taught us what to do in case a coconut falls out of a tree and lands on our head. She taught us what to do in case anybody falls into a pit filled with poisonous snakes. She taught us what to do in case you get a squirrel stuck in your mouth. Andrea was taking notes the whole time. Okay, I think you kids are prepared for our overnight, barked Miss Blake. I will see you in the school parking lot Saturday at 1 o'clock. Don't be late. Then we all got on the floor and did the beaver growl. Next chapter is called The Middle of Nowhere. I wonder how the gang's gonna make out. See you next time.